And away they go for another episode of Talk to the Doctor. Here we are today with my good friend Johnny O. I want to bring you guys an amazing man from West Africa, Nigeria to be exact. And he's going to talk to us all about all this really cool stuff he's into. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you, KV.
Awesome.
Thank you, Doc.
You got it, mister. So, what I want to know, and I want you to share with my audience is your roots, your origin. How did you, come into this world and come to here in Southern California with such a unique background?
Yeah, well, my parents were from West Africa, Nigeria. In the 70s and 80s, they were here. My dad was a pastor, and he got brought to the U.S., California, Orange County area by other pastors from the U.S. that came to visit his church.
What kind of church?
In Nigeria, Christian non-denominational church.
Okay.
So in the 70s and 80s, my dad and my mom, both from the same tribe in West Africa there in Nigeria, they came over and they started a church in Anaheim.
Oh, cool.
So I was born in Orange, St. Joseph's Hospital.
How fitting, because, we've got a lot of orange going on in our coloring today.
I like it.
Anyway. But yeah, so you were born in Orange.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit more about how that, how do we get from Orange to where you are? I know there's quite a journey
so
there.
when I was born in 82,
okay,
my parents went back to Africa around Christmas time because I was born in May.
Okay.
So around Christmas time, my parents went back and I lived in Africa in Lagos, which was the capital at the time of Nigeria.
Okay.
So I lived in Lagos till I was about 10. So from 82 to 92, I lived in West Africa.
Okay, so you lived in Nigeria for 10 years. Your first, basically, 10 years.
That was my first experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you real quick. Is it just me, or I think I've seen a story of surfing in Lagos?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have a good surf break on Victoria Island.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
that's where it was. Okay, did you ever see any of that when you were growing up there? Was there any?
Yeah, I went out there. We watched the surfers surf, but I was really young, and we have this phobias about getting in the water with sharks.
There's a lot of sharks there. That's the story. Yeah.
So I kind of stayed out of there. I was a little kid.
Yeah, totally get that. Yeah. Okay, so you're 10. What was the first 10 years of your life living in Nigeria, as now that living in America?
Sure.
Right, or California? What fundamentally different, I would think.
Well, I learned a lot of gymnastics, tribal dancing. A lot of arts came to me the first 10 years of my life, at least the beginning of my art forms.
Cool.
African percussion, African dance. I went to a private school out there.
Okay.
That had all these arts and crafts sections to their program.
Awesome. To their, yeah.
Yes.
Curriculum. Yeah.
Curriculum. There you go.
Wow.
So I started studying a lot of these things. And then my dad's driver was a really big percussionist and drummer. And he also did gymnastics like acrobats. So I did my first backflip when I was about 6 years old with him holding me.
Uh-huh.
And then he also taught me how to play hand drums. That was the first beginning of my percussion career.
Yeah, because haven't I seen you do a backflip a couple?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen you do some.
I've done backflips off rooftops.
Yeah,
all kinds of crazy.
I'm always like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so you kind of got brought into that as a child and had a background with that kind of thing. And then, so growing up in Nigeria would you look back on it and say, what a, like from here, I think we kind of think, oh, it sounds a little scary. Not me, but, typical Orange County Americans, maybe,
Sure.
Kind of fluffy, kind of a little Gucci, maybe, it wasn't always that way, but I'm just saying nowadays, especially with like Orange County housewives.
Yes.
And it's just this whole like glam, but I think of maybe people think of like growing up in Lagos, Nigeria as a pretty intense, kind of sketchy existence. But would you
Sure.
say growing up there was, what was it really like culturally? Like, was it scary at all?
No, I was really comfortable. I'm from there. I got family there. I have all kinds of different connections there. So it was more of like a cultural practice, you could say.
Okay.
Even because it bestowed a lot of knowledge on me that I wouldn't necessarily have right now.
Yeah, because it's strong culturally, right?
Yes.
It's got a strong culture. I'm just
Yes.
saying, like, but you also didn't, like it felt comfortable, like you could
Yes.
run around free as a kid.
Right.
And, like even here nowadays, parents are very scared to let their kids
Sure.
just run out the door.
Yeah, it was a whole different era back then.
Yep.
You're in the 1980s
Into the early 90s.
to the early
yeah.
90s.
It was a different era. Yeah.
So things were kind of fresh, you could say, at that time.
Okay. So then, you're 10, and then you, from what I understand, you guys came back to America.
Yeah, we came back to
Okay.
Orange County area.
Okay.
My dad started a church in, I think, in Brea at the moment. At the moment we came back in '92. Then he started another church. He closed that one down and started another church in Anaheim.
Okay.
That one was around for about maybe 2 years. Then he moved to Newport Beach.
Nice move, Pops.
Thank you, Pops.
Nice move. Get me out of Brea. Get me out of Anaheim.
Right.
I mean, Disneyland's cool and all, but so it's
my
not very
10th
fun.
grade year,
But now you're in Newport?
like my 10th grade year, I went to high school in Newport Beach in Corona Del Mar High School.
Nice.
So I made that transition from over there all the way to the beach coastal. We had a
Oh,
house.
man.
We had a house kind of really coastal, like right on the water in the flower streets of Corona Del Mar.
So it's fair to say things were going well for the fam. I'm
Things
just
were
thinking
going
if we
very
went
well.
from Brea
Yeah.
to Anaheim and then we moved to like
Yep,
Corona Del
yep.
Mar, Newport, I'm thinking
Yeah.
things were going pretty well.
So, you know what? I actually became friends with a lot of surfers and a lot of skateboarders and those guys in my high school in Corona Del Mar.
Makes sense.
And I
Yeah.
learned the culture, hence how I speak. A lot of
Yes.
people look at me and they're like, how does he talk like that? Oh my God. And then they see me how dark I am from Africa. And they're like, he speaks almost like a surfer or like one of those
Totally.
guys. So I
Yeah.
got the Orange County culture in
You
me.
kind of don't sound like what you look like.
Yeah, I got the Orange County culture in me, and then I have the African culture in me from my first 10 years. I started playing hand drums, the djembe, percussion. I learned acrobats from the African standpoint of acrobats, not like a gymnastics
Sure.
gym over here.
Yeah.
So I can do the backflips. I can do all these innovative acrobatic things.
Yeah, which reminds me almost different, but similar to like how the Brazilians do capoeira.
Yes.
You know, it's very athletic.
Yes, we
and,
have
you know-
tribal forms of that
Yeah.
over there.
Oh, that's really cool.
There's another form. It's called gigibo.
Gigibo?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's another fighting form with a lot of dancing in it, flipping, kind of sparring. It's almost like
Yeah.
capoeira, but an African
It's an
tribal,
African capoeira.
tribal version. Yeah.
Ah, someone
So-
should bring that to America. I mean,
studied some
capoeira
of
did
that.
pretty good here.
Before I
know?
came over, it was
You know
cool.
what I mean? If someone brought that here, they'd be our capoeira.
Oh yeah.
You know, it could be
Yeah.
Gigibu here, Gigibu
Yes.
classes, you know, interesting.
And I've crossed a lot of that into what I do because I do know capoeira. I know forms of gigibo. I have my own freestyle styles of what I've incorporated into all this.
You made a fusion
Yes,
out
a
of
fusion.
your influences
Yes.
to dance and also
Yeah.
maybe kick someone in the head.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
okay. So now we're in Corona Del Mar High School, and then push forward how we as we kind of embark out of school and we go out into the world and try to make a name for ourselves with things that we're going to do in the world, right?
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Well, so I took the road unwalked by most because I'm more of a entrepreneurial spirit. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of natural talents and abilities, and I think kind of outside the box, you could say. So
I totally understand.
I started working on a lot of fusion music. I have influences from, there's a European group called Massive Attack
I've heard of them.
out of England.
I've heard of them.
I listened to a lot of their music when I was growing up as a teenager in Corona Del Mar with my friends and surfers. Listened to a lot of reggae,
Okay.
a little bit of tribal African music. So like, there was an artist called Horace Andy. He's a singer.
Horace Andy?
Horace Andy. He's
Horace
a singer.
Andy, okay.
So he's a reggae legend out of Jamaica. He collaborated with Massive Attack and did a lot of albums with them. They flew him to England and he did a lot of stuff with them. And they have a genre that they created. It's called trip hop.
Trip hop. I've heard of it.
Yeah, trip
I've heard
hop.
of trip hop. I remember when I first heard of
Yes.
it.
So
Yeah.
I'm also friends with guys like Jesse Saunders. He's one of the guys from Chicago area, the era of house music.
Uh-huh.
He's got one of the original house tracks.
Okay.
So I play my African percussion in a lot of these different styles.
Cool.
Reggae music,
That seems like a really natural fit to
dance
me.
music,
It really does,
which is
right?
the electronic house and all the
Okay.
like electronic music and all that
That
stuff.
seems a little more like out of the box creative to put, your African rhythms with the dance.
Sure.
But to mix it with reggae seems totally
Yes.
just as natural as it
And
comes,
then
right?
I also play drum set. So now I've got also a hip hop background that I infuse
Oh, cool.
with rock music.
So when you say a drum set, you mean like a drum kit a rock
Yes,
drummer
a
would
drum
have?
kit that a rock drummer would have,
Huh.
but I have my own drum style. So I do a lot of fusion drum kit music with rock musicians. So
Rad.
it blends in, and it becomes kind of like a new style. And the reason I mentioned Massive Attack is because they have a style kind of similar where they blend like a little bit of reggae. They have like rock, like songs that really jam, like rock
you know,
really
I really
hard.
like that kind of thing. Yeah,
Kind of like a
that
Trent
kind of thing.
Reznor sound they have.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
like a
now we're
Trent
going
Reznor sound with a
industrial.
little bit of
Going
rock in it.
industrial over- yeah.
You know
Wow.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I like
Yeah.
mixture. I like mixtures of influences, like where you have music that, you know, you hear in it
Sure.
different influences,
It
and then they
picks up.
fuse them together into their own creation.
Sure.
In fact, I know people say, for instance, the martial arts world that studied some of this and studied some of that, and then they make their own kind of martial arts as a blend, right?
Yes, you got maybe jiu-jitsu mixed with kung fu.
Yeah, and then all of a
something
sudden
like
the way
that, you know
their
what I mean?
style is like, a few of my friends are from a Hawaiian martial art called Kaji Kenbo.
Okay.
And a lot of my friends are, you know, black belts in that system. And that was born on the streets of Hawaii, and it comes from like Kempo, karate, kung fu, and judo, I think, mixed.
Yeah.
It's a Kaju Kenbo, right?
Sure.
And it's like when you see it, you're like, oh wow, you can really. Or it's like when you hear like Robin Trower, and you can hear that he was influenced, and from what I heard, learned under Jimi Hendrix. You can
Yes.
kind of see it and hear it. You
Yes,
know?
and you get samples and sound bites of similarities in
Influences,
the music.
yeah.
In the
I love
music.
that kind of thing. So,
Yes.
you know, I feel like what we're going to do on our show today is at some point we're going to get into your instruments. We see a lot of really
Sure.
cool instruments on the table.
Yeah, I brought a few things to show.
I know that music is a really big part of your life. And so I would ask you if we were to continue further just in the origin stories.
I'm working on a lot of stuff right now in the studio, and I'm working on new music and new genre kind of things.
Cool.
Which is a fusion. I'm working on fusion genres that might kind of take on their own
Style in life,
their
yeah.
own legs and start walking, you know?
Cool.
So right now what I'm working on, I'm a master percussionist with
Okay.
the West African background, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working on an album that has the djembe drum and percussion instruments as the drum set. So you can play the guitar, you can add keyboards, you can add the bass, you can add all these different things to it, but there's not going to be an actual drum set or like a drum machine. It's going to be all hand-played djembe instruments as the drum set behind everything with me playing it.
Can't
So
wait to hear
it's
that.
gonna be
Wow,
insane.
that's
Yeah,
just
it's coming
really
out
unique.
really
One of a
good.
kind.
Yeah.
One of a kind. The thing about music like that is it's so fresh and new. It's, you know, it doesn't necessarily have a developed audience because
Sure.
it's so new, but that's what makes it, you know,
Yes,
magnetic.
I'm working on offshoots of music that kind of almost haven't been done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, new
because
frontier.
a lot of things, you know, a lot of things have been done already, but I'm working on new music that's kind of fresh and like fusion stuff.
Yeah.
But not just fusion, but with the creativity of what I've already studied and put behind my belt as far as like techniques and things that I do special to the drums and percussion.
Which fits into the statement you made earlier about, you know, you just, you know, you came out of high school, you really thought
Sure.
out of the box.
Yes.
Right? So here you are, you're still thinking out of the box. I
Yes.
think those kind of people, you can't put them in a box.
Yep.
You know, I feel the same way in a lot of ways. There's
That's
certain
true.
kind of spirits that just
Yeah.
like personalities, let's call it, you know,
Sure.
that just have a tough time. I think we gravitate toward people like that as well.
Of
right?
course.
People that think in the box, it's all good. They have very good 9-to-5 jobs. And,
This is true.
And where they have like 401ks and retirement plans, but they also have, you know, someone that tells them they have to be somewhere at 9 a.m. and they can't leave
Yeah.
till 5. They have to tell them what to wear, how much they're going to make. I mean, some
Exactly.
people aren't built for that.
This is
I'm
true.
one of those like you.
Yes.
It just really feels like, which is how I end up having
Yeah.
a show or doing all my
Yes.
stuff I've done in my life. It's the same kind of thing. So we really
Freestyle
relate.
kinda.
I'm a freestyle individual.
Yeah.
It's hard
And
to
you
put
can
me in
take
a
it to the
box,
next
you know?
level.
Yeah, and that's when you actually start producing your work. Right? Because it's one thing when you're pitching your work to some producer that has the power to say yes or no. And it's
Right.
another thing when you go, well, that's all cool and all.
Yes.
But I'm doing my stuff either way.
Yes, you have your artistic capabilities within
That
your
you do.
own hands.
No one, you don't have to ask someone to do
Exactly.
it. You're doing it. And that's where I think the creative freedom comes from.
This is
Of
true.
course, then we want to do what we do great.
Yep.
Make it great. Do it well.
Sure.
And then essentially one day someone figures out to market our work and sell it, and then we make a bunch of money doing what we love to do.
Yes.
Right? But that's a journey.
Yes.
And here
it's
we
a
are on
journey.
that journey.
We're on that journey.
And I would say here we are now. Like, I would just really like to hear some things about some of these really
Yeah.
cool looking instruments you got in front of me.
yeah, well, what
You
I
know,
got
on the
here-
table. What do we got here? So, like, what's this right out of the gate? What's
This is like an African wooden xylophone.
okay?
So something like this goes back thousands of years from the West African region, and it's made with gourds, cut up half cut gourds, and those is what make that's what makes the sound travel. You know, the little resonations underneath them.
Interesting.
So something like this, you can tune it.
Yeah, you were saying when we talked about it earlier, you were saying this one isn't really in its prime state.
Yeah, this
it's
one
not
I've played a
tuned
lot of live shows with, so it's been beat up a lot, and this one's gone through the live show stage.
Okay.
So it needs tuning, and
So let's just say that one's been around the block.
Yes, it's made a lot of people dance. You could say. Okay?
Well, that's cool. So, but I mean, even that, just for people to hear, like that needs to be tuned, and there's a lot of things that make it have its sound. I
Yeah.
mean, that's all interesting stuff to an audience that might not know much about it.
This
then what do we
here-
got? What's this thing?
This is basically a seed shaker.
Oh,
So these are hard seeds, and they
is
get
that
tied
macadamia
together.
nut?
I'm
What
not
is
sure
that?
what nut this is, honestly.
Oh, okay.
But they're seeds dried out and tied together, and they give you a kind of a rainforest sound.
Totally. Cool. Okay. Well, percussion master, and you've got so many different percussion
Yes.
pieces. Okay, what's
Yeah.
this next thing that
This
looks
here-
like something we might have ate at one point in our life?
This
What
is
what
almost a
it?
clave, or we call it a jam block.
Jam block?
This is the original jam block.
What's a clave?
A clave is the two wooden sticks.
Oh,
This is a clave.
okay.
The unit is a clave, but they come in two.
Hit
So
those
it's
things.
more for.
Oh, okay. What's the wood? Do you know what the wood is?
I'm not sure what wood this is. It might
Okay.
be mahogany
Okay.
or oak.
Because it reminds me, like I do athletically, I do this thing where I climb the peg wall.
This one's made by Latin Percussion. They've been making a lot of the new
It looks like
contemporary
really good hardwood.
contemporary percussion instruments.
Just keep your eyes on those because I need a new set of pegs and those look perfect. So I'm just saying, peg wall is something I've done since I was a teenager.
Rock climbing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've
So,
seen
but
it.
those are like prime pegs. Keep those out of my hands. Anyway, so but anyway, yeah. So and then the clave kind of thing with the gourd. That's a one. Tell me a little bit about how that's made.
This is a jam block. It's made out of a big piece of wood.
Oh, that's wood, not a gourd.
No, this one's not a gourd.
Okay,
This
that's
is just
wood.
one piece of wood that they
Okay.
hollowed out and
Damn.
carved.
How could they hollow that? They're
So
so
something like this,
smart.
you would play with a stick,
Okay.
and you would get. You get those kind of tones out of it. A lot of this stuff is made for playing with a percussion team or a band.
Okay.
So
Yeah, this is someone on the sides as if someone that was
Basically,
playing cowbell or tambourine or that kind of thing, right?
As a percussionist, I'm the bells and whistles, so I really can play with any band from jazz, rock, reggae,
yeah, you add in.
samba, electronic dance,
Yeah.
house,
It
all that
makes
stuff.
sense. It really
so I'm
does.
the guy that can sit in with any, even symphonies.
Makes sense.
I can
It really
sit
does.
in.
Yeah.
I can sit in on any musical piece and add to what's going on with the musical piece.
Musical education on Talk to the Doctor today, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I can say. But this is very special because
Yes.
it's West African music education.
Yes.
So keep your
100%.
attention span hooked up to the program.
Twin Palms Entertainment. I love this mug.
Thank
what do
you.
you got here, buddy?
Yeah. We got some good water for you coming out of a really good filtration system. But yeah, thank you for
Impressive.
that. And so, okay, moving on. So, I mean, I think this we've seen these in our lives. But
Yeah,
what-
this is a shaker. This
it's a
one's
shaker.
by Latin Percussion.
And I mean,
They're
is
doing
there
a lot of
another?
stuff.
Is this what?
That one's also that's a shaker.
It's like a double shaker.
Yeah, it's a
Let me
seed
hand you
shaker.
the shaker and get double
This
shake.
one has seeds inside.
Oh, what's that one got?
Same thing.
Same thing. It's got seeds. So
Okay.
cool. Okay, well, as we move on, let's just go all the way for the farthest corner. What is this thing?
That's an abeca.
A beka.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's basically just metal beads on a metal bar. So you just
Oh, wow. Wow. Percussion City. I mean, just full on, so many different percussion type of sounds that you can come out of your tribes, bring into America, stoke us
so that
out.
originated in West Africa.
This one?
Yes, but
Abeca?
they're making Latin percussion is revamping a lot of the different stuff because the
Okay.
Afros came to like
Yeah, like they went to
Afro-Latin.
Brazil.
Yeah,
or
they went to Africa.
all over.
From Africa to Latin.
Yeah.
And they
Well,
kept a lot of the...
let's say Dominican Republic.
Sure.
Very Latin roots,
Yes.
Puerto Rico.
So a lot of the
Right.
things are blending now. And some of these bigger companies that aren't from Africa are making a lot of these instruments now.
Okay.
Which is really interesting. And they play their music with it. Like
So
there's
cool. Oh, yeah, you
samba
see
music.
that. Okay, yeah.
There's
Yeah, you see the
cumbia.
African influence in a lot of Latin music.
Yeah, they use a lot of percussion stuff. And they call things different than we would call the tribal names.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because in their language,
Yes.
you know.
Oh, this right here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What's that?
This is this is a tone bender.
Tone bender?
Yes. So it's kind of like a metal piece. So mine I modified.
Wow.
I cut off. It comes with two metallic pieces that have a round ball on it, so you can shake and. But I like to do mine manually by hand, with a stick, because now I can honestly control better.
I have never heard anything that sounds anywhere near like that, unless maybe on some sort of like show called Outer Limits. You know what I'm saying? It sounds. You might even hear something like that in like Tool or some band that's just like really doing different stuff. That's got a cool sound.
So that's a tone
really
bender.
different sound. I don't even, wow.
The tone bender.
Creative. Whoever came
I
up
use
with
this a
that,
lot.
I feel like might have popped a mushroom or two. I don't know.
When I when I play reggae, I use this a lot, and then if I do house music, a lot of times I play with a house DJ. So I'll mic in all my percussion. I'll bring my solo percussion stuff, mic all of it in. The DJ will be playing, and I'll go into the mixing board with the DJ on my line.
Incredible.
So I'm playing with the electronic music at the same time, but I'm bringing live elements.
Filling in with all this like
with all that
percussion energy.
Like I can fill in with the shaker, you know. It
Yeah.
just brings another element.
Yeah.
I can fill in with like even the thumb piano or something, you know. So yeah, that's what this
Oh
is.
yeah,
here.
let's hear. What's this? This is called a thumb
This
piano,
is a thumb piano. This
Okay.
goes back thousands of years.
and this is from
They
Nigeria,
first made this in West African
West
region.
African. Okay.
And a lot of the different countries across Africa have different versions of this.
I've
like
seen
they
it in
have-
a lot of places I've been.
They have
yeah.
ones that are round, ones that are square,
Yeah.
ones that are this big.
I have. I've seen a lot of
So
versions.
it has really good tones, kind of soothing tones, but the different sizes have different types of tones. This one's a smaller one, so it's a little more on a high-pitched tone.
Okay.
And it's very serenading. I play this for young children and put them to bed.
Totally.
My kids even in general.
Oh my gosh! Of course. You know, you just feel like they would kind of fade out on that. You know, because it's very soothing. That is really, really cool sounding. Thumb piano, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? You just never know what you're going to run into here on Talk to the Doctor. And then,
Love it.
What? Yeah, that's just incredible sounding. Now, what is this little art? What's going on here?
This is a clave that's in two pieces, right here. This
Okay.
This is a one
Oh, yeah.
single-handed. So you can get the same kind of sounds
Incredible how many things you got
Without-
to make percussion
without two
with.
pieces.
Yes.
Then you have a clave, you know, in different tones.
So, and then what I'm noticing here is I see over there you got a little kind of box of all
got a
kinds of fun
djembe.
stuff,
This
and then you got any other thing we can show
Yeah.
the audience
I
just
have
for
a djembe
fun?
Here. This is
A djembe.
Let's see here. This is my djembe. This is my most favorite African percussion tool.
Oh,
This
is this kind of like a conga kind of thing?
It's a djembe, which is its
djembe.
own thing. Congas are a
Okay.
little bit different.
Okay.
The djembe, to me, is Africa's best percussion instrument.
What is that made of?
This is made of mahogany wood,
Wow.
and you see it's nice
Beautiful.
and red.
Incredibly beautiful.
And it has a lot of bass tones, and it also has a lot of treble tones. So I'll show you.
And it's even got art carved into it. You know,
Yes.
it's like really cool.
Yeah,
Djembe.
djembe.
Okay.
DJ, it's spelled.
DJ.
Yeah, But
Okay,
it's
what's
called
that movie
djembe.
like Jumbo?
So I'm
Yeah,
gonna play
yeah.
this a little bit for you.
Djembe.
Give you a few sounds.
Okay.
It can be meditational.
Hard for me to keep still listening to something with such a cool beat. Really cool. Nice. Woo!
Little sample of that. Thank you, Doc.
Seriously, so that's like your favorite piece of all these,
Yes.
right? But I know you got a couple
So,
little
I've
other fun
also-
things down there.
With the djembe, like I told you, I was working on an album right now.
Okay.
That the drum set is the djembe.
Ah.
So there's no drum kit or sample drums.
Oh.
I play the djembe as the drum kit.
A
So,
single djembe?
Yes.
Not different sizes of
just
djembe?
one.
Oh.
So I can show you, like you do the drum beat with this, and then everything, the guitar can be added on, the keyboards, everything electronic can be added on
Layered in.
afterwards. Yes.
Okay.
So here's a beat where you can hear that it's a beat that's like a drum kit, but it's made from the djembe.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Bring it on,
Okay,
mister.
listen.
Super awesome, dude. Oh my gosh, that's
Thank
a
you, thank
djembe.
Yeah,
wow,
so
really
I'm
drum
using
oriented. Yeah,
that.
insane.
Those
Super
are samples
incredible.
for beats for whole
Super
new
incredible.
tracks.
Super incredible.
Yeah.
So I mean, on your your musical Johnny O musical energy, I feel like we've brought a lot of interesting things to the audience today.
Yes.
To me, just I mean, I've known you for a long time, but it's not
Sure.
like we sit down every day and really go deep with all
No,
this stuff,
this
right?
is amazing.
But I mean, I gotta say thank you. I gotta say,
Thanks for having me.
you're welcome. Super stoked
appreciate
to
it.
have you in today. Yeah. So what brings me now, Johnny, is like, what's going on recently? Like, what's the latest with you? Any new ventures? Anything outside of music? Like
Sure.
stuff like that.
Right now, so I've started an art dealership business. I've turned into a West African art dealer.
Nice.
So I have an exclusive artist. His name is Ikena Ude Buffalo.
Ikena Ude Buffalo.
Yes.
Okay.
So me and him are working together. So in 2013, when I went back to visit my family in Nigeria, I ran into this artist in an art village where all the artists were showcasing their work. And they had an art village where they actually lived there and did all their artwork. And they lived there and showcased their artwork for people to come through and walk through the village. So he stood out to me as the best artist. So at the time when I went to his little gallery area, he was off to lunch. But it was open still, so you could actually walk through and look at everything. So I had to wait there for him for about an hour and a half to get back. And me and him basically fell in love with each other. And he allowed me to buy 3 of his original artworks at the time that he was not even going to sell.
Oh.
One of the ones that I got was in an African magazine, our government magazine. It's called the Kakaki magazine. It's a Nigerian magazine that's put out by the government of Nigeria.
Okay.
This is back in 2013. And he was featured as West Africa's up-and-coming best artist. So he's our modern day Picasso, basically, you could say, who's
Wow.
still actually alive.
Interesting.
That's
What kind
how
of
good
medium
his
does he work
artwork
in?
is. Well, he
Like when you
does.
say artist, like
He does things on a corkboard. His highest grade style would be the corkboard sculptings that are not they look like a painting, but they're actually a sculpting in a painting, which he uses natural materials,
wow.
shaved wood like sawdust, crushed up stones.
Wow.
He uses a resin material for the harder parts,
Cool.
and he's doing a phenomenal job with this artwork. I was impressed myself.
And so you're doing what with that now?
I'm bringing to the West, to California, and I'm offering it up for sale to different people who can actually see the vision of what's going on with what he's doing. So
Awesome.
I'm the guy in between. He lives way out in the jungles in the village. He does the art there, so I pick it up. I pay the taxes to the government of Nigeria because these are cultural heirlooms, basically. They're not just like somebody who's painting.
Sure.
These are cultural. It's like I'm taking artifacts out of the country and bringing them over for sale.
Interesting. Okay.
These are cultural artifacts.
Yeah. So
That's the level of his artwork.
Okay. And so then you're in the process of representing his art as a dealer that's
Sure.
going to bring his art to, for instance, the West Coast, but the world, really.
Yes.
But, start somewhere because we
Yeah,
live here.
we're starting out here out of Orange County. I'm an
Yeah.
art curator, West African art dealer, specializing in
Amazing.
West African art only.
Tell me his name again.
His name's Ikenna
Ikenna
Ude Buffalo.
Ude Buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay. Ikenna Ude Buffalo.
Yeah, the Buffalo part, that's his nickname. I call
Right.
him Buffalo,
Okay.
but his name is Ikenna Ude.
Ikenna Ude
Yeah,
Buffalo. as his
Buffalo,
name.
that's his nickname.
So, why do I have a feeling like we're going to be seeing some of this stuff today?
Well, because I brought some for you.
Which I really think is a great intro to talk
Yes.
quite a bit about it first
Sure.
before we show the literal magnificence of this man's style. And
Yes.
obvious to me why you saw it and we're just like blown away because the second you showed it to me, all of us are just like, wow, it's really amazing. So why don't we take a little break and we're going to come back and feature some of this art. All right, we're back, Jack. Well, in this case, Johnny.
Oh.
But no, seriously. So now we get to introduce to the audience the actual piece
Yes.
of this work that we've been talking about. And
Yep. Okay, this is the work of Ikenna. Here's Mama Africa. The piece is called Mama Africa.
okay,
Okay. So you can see her arm there is looking like it's a piece of wood or something natural like earth.
okay,
You know what I mean? She's Mama Africa.
yes,
So she represents the continent of Africa, Nigeria, just the natural element of it.
okay.
Then
What do we have there? What's that part of it?
we have
does
the
it look like
breast.
two children
Well-
feeding on breasts or something?
Yeah, well, first we have the breast.
Okay,
The breasts represent the wealth.
makes sense.
In this case, for Nigeria, it would be the oil wells
Ah.
of Nigeria because that's our main source of income is our oil.
Exporting oil
Yes, we export
and
crude
selling
oil.
it to your own people,
Sure.
probably. Oh wow. Okay,
The
who knew
children,
that?
the children there are the citizens of Nigeria.
Okay.
This first child here would be the politicians. The second child would be the citizens, the masses,
Okay.
everybody that's an African citizen that lives there
Okay.
and all that. So if you can see the
Interesting.
the hand on the chest of the citizens,
Yes.
that's the hand of the politician who's controlling the wealth from all the oil wells and all the money that's coming in, and they're telling the citizens, they're putting their hand on the chest, you can't have this other boob. There's plenty of money, plenty of food to eat.
But is there?
It's there.
Okay.
But the
I'm just saying.
politicians are
Do they spread the
keeping
wealth?
it all to themselves.
Do they spread the wealth?
No, they're not
Why
spreading
is
the
it
wealth.
all over the world, this greed, this
This
human
is the
greed?
greed.
It's just anywhere you go. So the politicians tap into the boob. I'm sorry, to the wealth of the land.
The boob.
The boob.
I
Woo.
like to tap into
Anyway.
some boobs myself.
But seriously, okay, so then the other one is the people, right? The the politicians on the right, and then the left is the.
This is the politician
Yeah.
on the right. We have the people on the left there.
Yes.
The wealth is being held from the people by the small few hands of the politician. But see, there's another boob there that the other people can be drinking from.
Boy, that's just some real depth there.
In the
Cultural
words,
depth.
in the words of Ikenna himself, this is the greed of Africa and the world.
Totally.
So this is why he painted this
It relates.
in this manner, and this is the explanation. When I got this piece from him in 2013, this was the explanation of why this was painted.
Okay.
You see the face?
Mm-hmm.
It's all natural tones, so you can see that this is an earth being.
Yes.
She's Mama Africa and the representation of a woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the medium with which this art is made, like the.
Well, okay, so those parts are from sawdust, like shaved wood.
Okay.
But it's on a cork board, which is a really dense board.
Okay. And
So
then
that
it's
he
got a
can-
frame, so it's got a cork board, and then did he make
It's
the
wood
wood frame?
frame. Yeah, he wood framed it.
He wood framed it, put it on the cork board. And on
Yeah.
top of the cork board, we see.
Well, you see, there's also a resin material for all these hard parts.
Okay, like her body.
Her body.
And all those lines that just look amazing.
And
That's
he's
resin,
using, like,
some sort of resinous substance.
acrylic, like shiny paints
Oh, okay.
to let it pop.
Interesting.
And these are paints that he mixes up. He'll even squeeze different fruits and different natural elements from African, like tribal fruits that we have to mix into the paints to get certain tones.
Because the colors are like ethereal and just so
Sure.
rich and earthy, and like what are the whole like I see that there's a lot of these like see-through, like there's a lot of, I don't want to call them holes, but you know what I mean, like where the art is designed.
Yeah, these are cutouts
Okay, cutouts.
for lighting in the back when you hang in the painting.
Oh my gosh.
So you light in the back, and those
Come
cutouts
through. Oh my gosh.
bring the light through to illuminate the art.
Wow. Okay.
So
yeah, this is
say
just,
in the evening you're having a dinner,
yeah.
and you turn your lights down low a little bit, but then you turn the lights behind
Incredible.
the painting
I love
on.
that kind of lighting.
It'll give you that type of lighting, and then also kind of just make the piece pop.
Totally.
Yeah.
So this is this like his, signature piece, or what like Mama Africa?
This is a piece of many.
Okay.
This is just the one we're showing today, but this is his signature style.
It
with
is
the cork
definitely got a
board.
style to it.
You got the wood shavings. You got crushed up stones there.
Ah,
You see there?
yeah. Cool.
You
Like,
got crushed up rocks.
I mean, they look like
white
turquoise or
stones.
something. I'm just
Yes.
saying, like, crushed up stones.
So it's really like a natural,
Really ornate.
it's a natural organic elements that he's mixing with also the paints and the resins and all that
beautiful.
stuff. So it's really a sculpting and a painting. It's 3-dimensional. It's not just a paintbrush type of thing where you just paint something.
Oh yeah, it's got
So
texture and depth.
You've got
and-
texture. You've got the sculpting part. It's coming off the board.
Yep, it's not just flat. I mean, there's life to that. And then you have a light behind it, so it pops out light. And you're gonna working on with the artist to bring his work to over here to the West Coast
Yes.
and eventually the world. But so there's multiple pieces, and
Sure.
so you're kind of in the process of, in a sense, is your plan to sell it through galleries or direct?
Directly to the people is my plan.
Okay.
We may get to the level of maybe letting some stuff go on auction. You know what I mean?
Auction. Okay.
Yeah. So right now it's something that's like, these are cultural heirlooms.
Okay.
This is like, it's like me bringing a piece of my culture to the West to make it available.
Sure. People
It's like there's
understand
a
more
lot
about
of
the culture.
Different
Yeah.
arts. There's Chinese art. There's Italian art. There's all these different cultural
Totally.
arts.
Yep.
But a lot of the part from real West African art is not available. So I'm
Over
making
here.
over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really hard to
But
get.
the authentic West African art, the high level stuff, this is
Sure. Not just the commercial work. Yeah.
these are things that are done on a higher level.
Yeah.
Not just
Like, how long do you think it took him to do that piece? Or his pieces that he does like this, right?
about 2 months.
Wow.
It's very labor intensive.
Yeah, it looks like
The
it.
whole
Yeah.
process, even the carvings, the cutouts on this corkboard, they have to be precise. He has to carve the different indentations that are in there. Let the resins dry, mold the hands and all the different things that are in there. Very
It's a
technical
lot of work and very technical and very
Yes.
creative and then very cultural. It's a
Yes.
blend of a lot of things. And then,
And his art style was created by him. He got blessed
yeah,
to have this art style.
it's his creation.
Sure.
Like
He
you
went
with
to
some of
art
your
school.
music, you know, your creation, your mix, your
Exactly.
blend, you know.
He went to art school for many, many years, graduated, and came up with his own art style.
He certainly did. So, for the public that might be interested, who knows who sees our show and they're,
Sure.
you know, what kind of, you know, I don't think this one is for sale, but I know you have a couple of other pieces that we'll show today, maybe
Sure.
in photos. I don't know if we'll see the whole thing.
Yeah.
We'll do whatever. We'll end up seeing the other work. We're going to show lots of photos of his work
Yes.
on the show today. But as far as actually seeing a piece, I know we got a couple more in the studio. What would someone pay for something? Not this one, because I know this is not even for sale. It's such
Well, a lot of these pieces, they're really rare.
they're very rare.
You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of times, like I almost would have to consult with the artist and then make my own judgment call because I'm the last hand it's going to go through. So
Just trying to get an idea. Like if someone that we knew, hypothetically,
Sure.
some friend of ours was saying, "Oh my God,
yeah,
Johnny, this stuff's wow, I want that for my house."
yeah,
you know?
we're starting at about $25,000 and up.
Okay.
for
That's
each paint.
just trying to get an idea. Is
Yeah.
it 25? Is it 250? Is it 2 mil? I mean, where are
Yeah,
we going
no,
here?
we're starting at $25,000
Okay.
and it goes up from there.
Right.
And it just depends on the size of the
Mm-hmm.
painting and what's been put into it. So that's where we're kind of base price.
And what you're here doing, tell me if I'm wrong, is to some degree discovered this artist from
Sure.
your homeland.
Yeah.
Really were blown away by what you saw. I believe you have a really strong connection with the man himself in terms of human beings just
Yes.
connecting, right? Not
Yes.
just a business thing.
Exactly.
Like that art spoke to you.
It
You
did.
were traveling around Nigeria and you saw a lot of art, but this just really spoke to you.
This
And
is what pulled
obviously-
my spirit
Yes.
when I saw it.
So then you developed a relationship with him, and to some degree you're here to show the world his work, but at the same time to popularize it in a way to create demand.
Yes.
So that people learn about your country through the art. They learn the culture. They learn the stories. Hopefully learn respect for what's going on there, because maybe a lot of us don't know what goes on in Nigeria.
This is
you
true.
know? Like they don't know what's going on here and where we're from, you know?
Yes.
Or, I mean, it's just, we all try to share our stories and our art and our music to try to, and our films, to try to bring people into our culture and our storyline
Yes.
and what we can bring to the world in a sense of hopefully bringing peace to this crazy world we're living in. Right?
Peace and education so they can kind of get a mentality of what's going on that side.
Yeah. And to see the humanity that we all share instead of all this division that's happening in the world, where we can actually come together and go, hey, well, here's this artist in Nigeria that's putting this incredible type of art together, a very singular style, to hopefully bring peace to the world, bring
Yes.
art to the world, bring joy to the world, bring cultural stories to the world, and create in a sense of value around that. Like a lot of people, they're worth. I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. We've talked about it before, but nothing against the guys that do this. So let me just, when you go and you see these guys and like you see this art and it looks like someone like threw art against a thing, or what's it
they
called? What
splash
is that
paint
called?
on the
Like
walls and like
abstract?
they got all this
What is that
modern
called?
art, abstract art, and all this weird stuff.
Like I feel like who couldn't throw?
The level of artistry,
What?
and you see a price tag talking about $70,000
It's
for like.
insane. These guys just like threw
You
art.
just threw some paints.
Drain
and
it, yeah.
It just went.
I don't even know how to like relate to that. It doesn't appeal
Lost.
to me. Once again, no disrespect to the artist, because there's room for everybody, right?
Sure.
Everyone's got an expression.
Sure.
I don't know what that kind of art says.
Sure.
It almost makes me feel a little anxiety or
Yeah.
something when I see it. It makes me feel something that's not like, I like art that tells me something.
Yes, and pulls vibes from you.
Yeah, like some sort of like vibrational. Yeah, like a vibrational
Educational
feeling.
art.
Yes.
Like, see, if I'm an art professor right now, I'm looking at this art. I'm looking at the creativity of it. I'm looking at the art consciousness of it.
Totally.
I'm looking at the art awareness and education behind it.
And the uniqueness.
The uniqueness.
I mean, this is a creation. So,
the
I mean,
balance,
in that sense,
the
it's
balance of all the different
elements.
elements,
Yeah.
even to the point where the lights can come in through the holes and all that
I know,
stuff.
it's amazing.
The symmetry, you know what I mean?
It's just such a pleasure for me to be able to bring you in today, bring you into the show.
appreciate it.
Allow our audience to hear about your music, about what's behind it, what drives you, why you make it. It's such a soulful type of thing when you have such a background. And then with this art and what you're doing with it, it just really makes me feel like here's a man that's deeply connected to his homeland, but also with roots here, strong roots here.
Yep.
Once again, like your music, creating a fusion, right,
Exactly.
of influence. So, you're not just really from there, you're from there and here. So here you are here bringing the art from there to here to our buyers, art buyers.
Yeah, it's almost like a bridge.
It's a bridge.
Yes.
It's a cultural bridge.
It's a cultural bridge, and it's also unification because I'm uniting that side with this side.
Mm-hmm. And anyone who gets this art needs to know what it represents, needs to know why they would be drawn to it. I feel like the people that would buy this or any of his pieces would be people that would share that vibe and that consciousness where they would really feel cultural love in a sense, sharing and whatever. What a joy. Just really stoked to get our audience feedback. When you see this episode, always comment. Love to hear comments, likes, follows, whatever you got, bring it. Just super stoked to, bring this episode of Talk to the Doctor here with Johnny O.
Yes, and I'm very appreciative of you having me on the show.
And it's a two-way street around here, mister, so let me get a little knuckle. All right, well, talk to the doctor.
I'm talking to him right now.